we just finished practice. Everybody was still walking and laughing and cutting up. They felt great about yesterday, but we've got an unbelievable challenge for tomorrow. We're extremely happy to still be here. Ed Cooley and the Providence team, I thought, did some great things last night. We were the luckier team down the stretch, and I'm glad we were. We had a couple of players that made some big-time plays for us when we were down, and very appreciative of that. But trying to look forward now to Iowa State, and that's a big-time challenge for us. And you hate that they lost a youngster. I remember 2 or 3 years ago, I went to watch a high school workout, and Nerlens Noel was there, and I said, who is that guy right there? I said, because I love him. And they told me he had already committed to Iowa State, and that was Georges Niang. And I just think he's a great, great player, and you hate that for the kid. Coach Smith used to always say he hated to play somebody when they just lost one of their frontline players because everybody banded together even more and were more motivated and all that kind of thing. So I hate it for that reason too, but I hate it even more for the youngster because I've watched him play 3 or 4 times this year, and he appears to be really the kind of kid I would love to coach.
Luke Ticock, Raleigh News and Observer, with Niang and everything that you guys went through in 2012, particularly the situation with Kendall. You have empathy there for Fred and what he's going through, trying to rearrange things so quickly here?
You know, it was strange because in 2012 we had lost John Henson during the ACC tournament, and then we got him back, but he wasn't full speed. And then the old saying, you cut off the head of the snake, you really bother him, and that's what happened when we lost Kendall. And we're in the Elite Eight playing Kansas to try to go to a Final Four with the little 5'10" kid from Wilmington that I brought in at the end of the year just so we'd have another guy, and he was our 3rd point guard, and our backup was our backup power forward, and you know, it was just unfair. And I'll never forget the feeling of disappointment for that team because I thought we're good enough to play on the last Monday night. We had beaten Duke at Duke on their senior day, and I got on the bus and I said, guys, we're good enough to play the last Monday night. And I really believed that. And then Kendall got hurt, so there's nothing you can do about it. You've got to try to get everybody going. We had I'm just drawing a complete blank who we played in the first game with that. Ohio, right? And I think that one went to overtime, so we really blew them out, you know, that kind of thing. But it is hard to do. And he really does so many things. He scores from 3, he rebounds, he passes. He's just a complete player.
Go ahead.
Harold Gutman with the Durham Herald Sun. You hadn't allowed an opponent to shoot 50% all season, and you have each of the last 3 games. Is there something you can pinpoint as to what's going on that end, and how big a concern is that considering how Iowa State shot the ball last night?
Well, I mean, they shot 65%. They'll shoot 75 against us if we've been playing defensively. But I haven't been pleased with their defense. We won 12 in a row, and in the first 10 of those, I think 8 of those we held the other team under 45%. Nobody shot 50%. And everybody was saying, boy, you guys are really good defensively. I kept saying, they've missed a lot of open shots. Well, they've stopped missing the daggum open shots that we've been giving them. We got to play better defensively. There's no question about that. We've got to bother the shots more. It is a big-time concern. And like I said, I mean, Iowa State, I think it was almost 65% that they shot last night. And so we know that it's something that we're not doing well. We've got to get better. We did not rebound the ball well the last 2 weeks, and we rebounded it very well last night. So we got better at that. So hopefully we'll get better on the defensive end too.
Back on the right.
Wendell Barnhouse, BigToeSports.com. With Niang being out, does it complicate things for you guys as far as preparation, not knowing what they're going to be? You know, it's whatever you're preparing before, he's not there. So how much does that complicate things?
Wendell, it does complicate things. As you know, because there's indecision. You don't know if they're sitting over there and saying, well, North Carolina, boy, they rebounded it really well. We better play a big guy. Or are they saying, well, the heck with the big guy, let's put our best five basketball players on the court, you know? And my guess is that they would do that, but it is a guess. So there is some indecision, and I wouldn't be surprised if Freddie would say there's some indecision about what they're going to do, you know, that kind of thing. But it's easier on their side because they control it. We're reacting to what they do, but it is a big-time loss for them, but they can spread you even more now, and that's something that's it's difficult for us because we like to play some big guys.
Front row, far left.
Jeff Gravely, WRL-TV. You could have a great starting five of the recruits you've gotten out of Iowa, not just at North Carolina, but at Kansas. What do you think, how have you been able to do that, and what do you think your level of popularity is in that state?
You know, it's funny. Wendell may be the only person here old enough to remember this, but I knew you'd like that. Sports Illustrated did a deal many years ago on high school sports. And when they did the state of Iowa, one of the questions they had the answer to in there, the most hated man in the state of Iowa was George Steinbrenner. And I really never figured that out because there was no major league team in Iowa. I wondered why he'd hate my Yankees so much. But the second most hated man was Roy Williams. And, you know, that was in Sports Illustrated. But that was okay because I had Ray LaFrance, Nick Collison, Kirk Heinrich, you know, Harrison Barnes, you know, some pretty good guys. And we've got some right now, too. You know, it's strange. When I was at Kansas, I went into Iowa to recruit a lot because of the location. We had a lot of Iowa coaches coming to our coaches' clinic. I mean, Marcus Page's mom came to my coaches' clinic when I was coaching at Kansas. And, you know, so it was a great, we were very lucky, bottom line. There were some things going on almost every time. I mean, I remember that Kirk Heinrich had committed to Iowa State. And then Tim Floyd leaves and goes to the Chicago Bulls. You know, Ray LaFrance, his sister wanted to go to one of the places, and they didn't want her, and so there was a little discomfort there. And, I mean, I went there a million times more than anybody else. I went to see Harrison Barnes. I was there 11 times in a 2-year period. So I think I worked it very hard. Kansas had a great reputation basketball-wise. North Carolina has a great reputation basketball-wise. Some kids don't mind going away from home. You know, Fred Hoiberg, I said this when I was at Kansas, and I can still say it almost. Fred Hoiberg, in the 15 years I was at Kansas, was my favorite player ever on another team that I coached against. I just loved the way he played, loved the way he handled himself. I remember his senior day, they kicked our tails in the Hilton Coliseum, and the crowd rushed the floor. And I tried to sort of fight through the crowd just to get there to congratulate him. And his mother wrote me a nice note about doing that. But, I mean, he's one of those guys that I really just enjoyed and would love to have had the opportunity to coach. And, you know, they're good people. They've gotten disappointed, I'm sure, when a player left, but they've always treated me fantastically. Pardon? I still didn't hear Misty. Well, Fred was already there. I would have recruited his butt, I guarantee you, but I'm not that damn old. He was already at Iowa State when I got there.
Okay, we're going to go second row on the right.
Hey, Roy, one guy you didn't get out of Iowa was Doug McDermott. You saw him a lot in high school. Put him in perspective 4 years later and just what the type of player that he's become.
You know, Greg, his father, is a good friend of mine. Greg came down and spent 3 days with us in Pinehurst at the end of the summer and played golf, and we play poker on the coaches' trips. I mean, we have some fun. He was, I think I'll get this right, he was at Iowa State, and he told me one night we're sitting in the gym, I'm watching Harrison, he's there, and I said, Doug is really good. He said, yeah, I just wish he were a couple inches taller. And he said, I don't want to put him in a bad situation. I said, Greg, he's really good. And then all of a sudden, he just got better and better and better. We're standing in a hallway outside the locker room after they'd won the state championship for Ames. And at that time, Doug had already signed at Northern Iowa. And I said to Greg, I said, let me tell you something. You are dumb. I said, he's good enough to play for us, you know, and you don't think he's good enough to play for you. And I understand you don't want to put him under that kind of pressure or something like that. But then, you know, a month or so later, Greg took the Creighton job, and he got out of the letter of intent with Northern Iowa. And Jake, and coach at Northern Iowa, Jake hadn't spoken to Greg since, you know, that kind of thing. But Doug's just had a great career, great father, great mother, great family, big-time player, and has to have been one of the most wonderful father-son experiences that you could ever have. I'm really jealous.
Okay, third row on the left.
Tom Orsborn, San Antonio Express News. Bryce Johnson was just up here and described himself as a bad defender last year. How far has he come in that regard? And just talk about how valuable he is in that sixth man role.
he was a bad defender last year. He's not as bad now. I'm not going to give him any more than that, but there's one thing that he can do, and he had a couple of big ones last night. He can block some shots and protect the rim, and those were some big plays he made for us last night. He knows that he's got to get a lot better defensively, and he's trying, but he's got a long way to go, and I really think that before it's over with that he's going to be a very, very good defender, but he's extremely important to us. I always say when you make a substitution, that guy, you want him to add something, not get worse, but for him to add something to your team, and Bryce does. Most of it is on the offensive end. Sometimes it's his rebounding. It's really important. But every now and then, those block shots are pretty doggone important too. But hopefully he's going to be a fantastic defender, and really hopefully it'll be in my lifetime.
Third row on the right.
Greg Barnes of South Carolina. Coach, a few weeks ago, you described your team somewhat jokingly as slow compared to some of your previous teams. I'm curious, do you like this matchup because of Iowa State's preferred pace of play, or do you still have concern that your team hasn't played as fast as you would have liked them to this year?
Yeah, we still haven't played anywhere close to the pace that I want us to play. I mean, Iowa State's playing the way I want to play. I mean, their pace is really good, and 5 guys run. I mean, I don't know what we're averaging. We're averaging 70-something a game. I mean, I had a team that averaged 92 a game one time, and we didn't shoot 1,000 threes or anything like that. So we're not playing at the pace that I would like for us to, but we're still working on it. We played at a better pace last night. We got more fast break opportunities last night than we had gotten the last couple of games, but Iowa State's pace of all 5 guys running is really going to be a challenge for us. Our transition defense is going to be a big key for us in the game.
Back on the left.
Mike Lanana, Daily Tar Heel. Coach, you talk about your players laughing and cutting up. How important is it for them to be loose in this kind of environment? Is that something that you like to see out of them?
I like not just loose. I mean, loose can be a loose cannon, I guess, too. But I like to see them have fun, and I think they're doing that. There's nobody in the world that likes to have more fun than me. But on game day, I want to beat your butt. And on game day, I want to beat your butt a heck of a lot more than I want to have fun. Because if I do that, then I'm going to have fun. And somebody say, well, how are you doing? I said, depends on how my team plays. My team plays well, I'm doing great. And but I do. I think that basketball is a fun thing. Competing at a high level is something that should be fun and is fun. Be led by your dreams, not pushed by your problems. I mean, we want to enjoy the heck out of it. It's a wonderful ride. I don't think of just what might be down at the end of the road. I think about enjoying the ride.
Fourth row, far right.
Hi, Coach. Rob Gray with Cedar Rapids Gazette. You touched on, of course, how much you liked Fred as a player. How do you see him in terms of his development as a coach, getting to 3 state tournaments, et cetera?
You know, Fred's, you know, and I'm not trying to act like we're bosom buddies because, you know, that's not what it is. But I just, there's nothing about him that I don't like. He told me, gosh, after 2005, what they were going to do in the NBA draft, and they did it. I trusted him before he said it, and exactly what he said he was going to do, he did. I've watched his teams play. I've watched some losses that were extremely difficult. I'm still a big Kansas fan. I watched some of their games with Kansas last year, and they had a chance to maybe win all of them. All right, and there were some bitterly disappointing things. But Fred's just a big-time guy, and I don't sit there and evaluate other people's coaching very much. I really don't. I just enjoy them. When I see Iowa State's name in the box score, I think of Fred Hoiberg. And watching them, I've seen 2 games. I saw their Baylor game and then watched the game last night. So I've seen their last 2 games on tape, I guess. And he knows what he's doing on the bench too, but he doesn't need Roy Williams to certify that. But he's really good with his team. They're hard to guard. They're unselfish. They play really hard. There's not a lot else you have to do, you know, because they play hard and they're unselfish. They shoot. I mean, last night I thought they were making every shot kind of thing. So he doesn't need me to certify how good he is.
Back row under the camera.
Coach Jabari on Express News. 2-part question. Is the first game of the tournament always the hardest? And if so, are you expecting a much better performance from your team and Iowa tomorrow?
Well, if Iowa State plays better, we got no hope. I mean, if you can play better than shooting 65%, you know, that'd be awfully hard. But, you know, each tournament is different. I think Coach Smith, again, I'm a copier. Coach Smith said you gain your momentum once you get in the tournament. I told my guys in the locker room a long time ago, in 1982, we had James Worthy, Sam Perkins, Michael Jordan, 3 pretty good players. In our first NCAA first-round game that year, we played James Madison, and we blew them out 52-50, and we won the national championship. All right, so we gained momentum from that. In 2009, we won 6 games by at least 12 points when we won a national championship. So it depends, but you gain your momentum once you get in there. We've got to play better. I'm hopeful that Iowa State does not play better. It's pretty simple right there, but I think we gained some things from the experience. I mean, guys, Marcus, JP, Bryce, 3 of our most important players, they're sophomores. All right, we also had Nate Britt and Kennedy Meeks, very important players, they're freshmen. This is the first time most of our guys have ever gone through this, so I want them to have fun, but I want them to get better with each round of it. And the experiences you go through, you've got to learn from those.
Okay, third row far right. This will be the last question.
Right, Randy Peterson from the Des Moines Register. Aside from maybe just one player, and you may not even be able to answer this, have you got everybody in Iowa that you've wanted, except for maybe one guy?
No, we went in, Adam Woodbury, for example, we went in a couple of years ago and tried to recruit Adam. Oh, gosh, I can't believe I'm having a senior moment. I'm having a moment you and I both can understand. You got your hair's as gray as mine. There was a player our first or second year, and I'm just drawing a blank, that went to the University of Iowa that we really wanted. So, no, I didn't get everybody that I wanted by any means, but I want to keep going back because every player I've had from there, I've loved all his values and everything about him.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, guys.